It's Wednesday the 26th of August, the day after a mighty storm that hit Southport yesterday, and as you can see the pitch has held up really well. Still quite blowy, but sure everybody's pleased to see that there's no standing water after that storm. Our volunteers are still working away doing various jobs around the ground.
This way, right? Because if that's going there like that, that's going to catch in there. I can't get that tight. Oh, more like that. And the fall is like that. It won't work. I'll won't work that way because the boat's going to end up over there again. So I'm going to go out.
As you can see, plenty of advertising boards gone up. I understand there's another 11 to come today, so the advertising's going really well as we prepare for the new season. Got more of our volunteers in action here as they're giving the ground a nice spruce up with lots of yellow paint. Brian, you've been doing this for a few years now, haven't you?
Over 20-30 years maybe, I don't know.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Still that lovely yellow though, isn't it? We've got to have that yellow colour,
Yeah.
haven't we?
Well, we're just finishing this now to the end, and then sort of finished towards the stand then.
Is it all done then?
Yeah, all the stand's finished and this is all.
Well, we've got Andy, who's one of our new volunteers. Really, you've been coming, this is your first full season, Andy?
It is, yeah. As a volunteer, yeah. First few weeks, yeah. We're just hoping when we finish they don't change the colours.
Well, I had rumour that we're going to play in red this season, so we might have to change it all around.
That'll be last season as well.
You're enjoying it coming down though?
It's great fun, it's never ending, and it's like painting the Forth Bridge.
Yeah.
There's so much to do. It's incredible. It's amazed me how the place keeps going with a few volunteers. So.
Yeah. Lovely, thank you.
Yeah.
A photo shoot now with Peter Hampson from Visit Southport, James Tedford, the manager Liam Watson, and commercial manager Steve Brown.
I'll just take one from the side.
Okay, I've got Peter Hampson from Visit Southport with us this morning, and we've just had a photo shoot with the board. Can you tell us a little bit more about what Visit Southport is, Peter?
Yeah, absolutely. Visit Southport is the public-private sector partnership which markets Southport outside the destination, i.e. where normally the small businesses that make up much of the tourism and visitor economy in the town can't actually reach. So we do that big reach, which is why we're absolutely delighted to be able to get into this sponsorship arrangement with the club, because there's 90,000 people who live in Southport and a lot more in a very short distance, and we don't tend to be focused on marketing to them. So a tie-up with a local club makes absolute sense. So as the club is successful, we'll be successful. We can also promote the club both inside the town and around the country, so it's an absolute win-win for all of us.
Well, that's good. The difficult times we've had over the last few months, have you found your workload has been difficult given the situation we've been in?
Well, as chairman, I sit in the background. It's not my day job, and watch what things go on. But the team, who are essentially Sefton Council employees, and the board, who are made up from business owners around the town, have had to work particularly hard to come up with means of one, initially supporting businesses during lockdown, and now bringing people back to Southport as we're opening up. Clearly, like any seaside town, we're a seasonal town. Summer is hugely important, and a lot of that was lost to the coronavirus. But we're now seeing people coming back. We're now seeing local people going out to pubs, and very shortly we're looking forward to the club opening up and seeing some local football being played.
Yeah, I think that's what we all want. So, but thank you very, very much for the sponsorship, and we hope it's a nice dual partnership.
Look forward to working with you for many years.
Thanks, Peter. Okay, we've got James with us again today just to give us a little update on the latest protocols and a little bit more news on the capacities, I think, James.
Yeah, so after last week, Rob, we'd spoke about we're going to go finish our capacity calculations, and that's something that we've done. I think we mentioned that the seats are more difficult to carry out capacity than the terraces, but we have now done that. So we alluded that the Jack Car has gone from 1,014 down to 192 is the maximum capacity we can get in there. The Pine Tree maintenance stand is now 448, and the away end is 266. So it's a massive drop in how many we can actually get in. It's 908, I think those numbers add up to. I'm sure somebody will calculate that for me and tell me if I've got it wrong. So it's a massive reduction, and when we add the main stand in, that's dropping from 1,384 seats, not counting the hospitality. And if people arrive in individuals numbers, that comes out to 218 is the minimum or the maximum if they turn up in individuals. If they turn up in the groups of sixes, which is the biggest number they can do and under current guidelines, that's going to come in at 499. But we understand that the average is what people will come to arrive in twos and threes, so we're going to have anywhere between 302 and 393. Our average attendance, as you know, is anywhere between 800 and 1200, so we can fit that number in. We will be able to be confident that we can get 1200 in the stadium with the guidelines that we have. This week we have written to every single fan who has a season ticket from last year but doesn't have an email address, which there are, I think, about 200 of them. It's a substantial number. So we have written out to everybody. We've had some phone calls in already where they've started to book their tickets. And pretty much the purpose of this interview and that letter is to ask everybody to now start considering how they're going to come to the ground. It will suit us and it will help us massively as a club and them as fans to get everybody in that wants to be in, if they can meet outside and come in pairs or threes. But they need to make that decision now, because that is how we will allocate the seats. It won't be a case of you turn up on the day and we say, oh, there's 3 people, you can sit there. We will reserve seats from the offset for people. This is a massive undertaking for us as a football club, probably the likes of which us and any other club have never seen before. We are going to make mistakes. We might not get it right first time. It's a very, very much a fluid document and a fluid process. So we may look at it after 3 weeks and revert back to something slightly easier, but as we said last week, we have to start at the strictest possible guidelines we can to make people feel safe that they want to be here. And that's what those processes are about.
It's getting the cooperation of everybody here, isn't it? From supporters, the players, as we've seen. We need everybody to just wake up to what's actually happening.
Yeah, be on board. I sometimes, we said last week, if you're in your own personal life, you might not be as COVID risk averse is what we are here, but when you come to the football stadium, you have to have it in your mindset, as we are planning for, is the person who's most at risk. So we think, do we have a fan who has a heart condition, or somebody who's is at high risk but is able to come out into a safe environment, then that's the person we plan for, and everybody else below that should inevitably be safe.
James, I'm confused about capacities. Now, how is it working? Because you're allowed 200 in today at Marine, for example, but next week at Warrington they can have 600 in.
Yeah.
But where do we stand? We're at stage 3. To move to stage 5, what would our capacity look like?
So stage 5 will be the capacity we have just spoken about.
Right, yeah.
The current number that you are hearing bandied about, and I've seen it on our newly resurrected fans forum, is 3,000. Yeah. And working at a percentage of that. So that 3,000 number comes from the minimum ground grading that you are allowed at our level, which is step 2. So we are allowed we must have capacity for 3,000 people to be at that level. So I'm assuming that the government quickly rushed out last week and said, okay, at step 3 the capacity is X and they can have a percentage of that, and that's where that number is coming from for us. So if we're allowed 15% of that, just say for a friendly next month, we'd get 450 fans in. If that went to 30%, we'd get about 900 obviously, and so it's just double the number. But that's simply just, I think, the government reacting to allowing to get some fans in as a part of the hashtag Let Fans In sort of initiative that's going on at the moment. Hence why Marine tonight is 200, and then next week they're allowed significantly more. That won't impact us come the 3rd of October if we're drawn at home or for the league. We're currently working under the protocol set out by the Sports Ground Safety Authority, and that's the numbers that we will work to that we've previously mentioned. However, I certainly would bite their hand off right now if they said to us moving forward until we start proper football in the league and the cups that we could get 30% in. We would love to do that. We need a trial.
Yes.
We can't have the FA Cup or the Tuesday night after it being the first home game here, being a competitive match. We do need a dry run at it.
That's right, yeah. Well, very complicated, and I'm sure there's an easy way of doing it somewhere, but that's it. A couple of things just on top of this, James. Season ticket instalments, we've got a closing date coming up soon.
Yes, so 31st of August, correct me if I'm wrong, is the closing date. That is the point where, as a football club, we will start contacting every member and every season ticket holder and giving them first refusal where they want to be within the ground. The membership, when it was first announced, allowed migration between different parts of the stadium. It was a good benefit. You know, if you wanted to be in the Jack car, you could, but if you wanted to come and get a seat, that's obviously not possible under the guidelines. And once we know where everybody wants to be, we will start allocating or sending those tickets out or asking them to be collected. It would be easier as a football club when you come to the ground that you just collect it on the day that you come in. They'll be clearly marked where you are. So again, if you're out there and you think I want to be in the Jack Car for next season, make sure you've got a season ticket. If you haven't obviously purchased a membership, that's the only way you're going to get in there. We see it on a match day, sometimes there's 200-300 in there. We're only allowed 192 next season, so make sure you have a ticket or you will simply not get into that area.
And the migrating between the Pine Tree and the Jack Car when it starts to pour down with rain.
We're almost going to have to go back to segregation entrances like we've done for the Tranmere game in the FA Cup here. Certain turnstile will allow you access into the Pine Tree stand. Now, we are fortunate that although it's called the popular terrace or the poplar, whatever your argument is, it's not overly used, it's not oversubscribed. I guess, you know, in our mindset in terms of a match day would be to protect the numbers in the Jack Car, because there's more than enough space over the other terrace for people to be able to stand in.
Good. So after the 31st of August, people can still pay for a season ticket, but it'll be upfront payment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, we'll start contacting those people on an individual basis to where they want to be allocated within the stadium.
Yeah. And just clarification, people do get a card for the membership and the season ticket, don't they? So
yes.
You'll get a little card.
The original plan was just to have one for membership, one for season tickets, but we're now going to have to split them down to allocated areas as well. So again, it's a massive undertaking for us. It's something we've not done before. So you know, it's fluid. We're planning it as we pretty much go along. You know, not as much as making it up on the spot. These are things that are coming at us sort of thick and fast that we're having to react to. I don't think this is anything any of us could have been proactive with and planned ahead, because we didn't know it was coming, and the guidelines change every single day, sometimes every single week. So we're just reacting to them as they come in.
Yeah. Okay. Just finally, Walkabout Wednesday finishing today, but we're still inviting people to send questions in, and you and Ian, whoever wants to send a question in, welcome to do so.
Yeah, please do. I mean, Walkabout Wednesday for me has been a tremendous success. It was, you know, the brainchild of Ian. You know, he basically said, let's get people in, get them walking around. I enjoy speaking to some of the fans here, although I think some of our fans think it's now laps for questions. Every time we do a lap, they get asked us a question. But we are open, we are transparent as much as we can. You know, we won't tell you who the next signing is until it's launched, which is always usually the first question we ask. But yeah, we are looking. Speaking to the trustees of the charity foundation, can we change it into something else? You know, we have went from numbers of 70, 80, we're now down to about 15, 20. People went back to work, you know, furlough for some people's finished, that's why the numbers have dwindled. But can we look at that core group of 20 and change it into something else for them? Because it's a very good initiative that, you know, gets us goodwill within the community and our fans.
Brilliant, thanks James.
Okay, thank you.